Hi, this is Mike. Welcome to Practactical, and I'm going to show you guys how I sharpen my knives. This knife here in particular is going to be it's a little project knife of mine. I think I showed you guys this before. It's a sword, and it's a peasant knife. Now this knife is pretty cool because it's a non-locking folding knife, and I think that it gives you just as much like strength and flexibility as a fixed blade, even though it's a folding knife and it's non-locking, which is kind of cool. So kind of give you guys an idea. What I'm doing with this is I'm replacing the handles, and I'm replacing them with an oak handle, kind of like this. You can see I got some patterns marked off there, and you know the handle's going to fit in my hand just like that there. And this peasant knife is going to go in here, and I got another scale on the other side that's going to be like this. So when this knife opens, you know, it's going to sit in that handle just like that. And when I need it out and you fold it up, the reason it has the more strength of a fixed blade is because when your hand's in there, you're actually holding the tang of the knife, and it'll work like a fixed blade. It doesn't really need to lock. Big fan of friction folders, which is what this is. You know, there'll probably be a little lanyard there and whatnot. So I have two scales like this. I'm working on them. I'm going to do kind of an Enzo pattern. I'm going to get some hardware, drill it out, and with my Dremel I'm going to make a little pattern on this handle to give it some traction and make it look beautiful. I'll oil it. It'll look great. But that's not the purpose of the video. The purpose of the video is to show you guys how I sharpen my knives. Now this knife it's kind of dull. I mean, it's not really. I mean, I can rub my thumb along the end there, and it's not gonna, you know, cut me, which is not sharp enough for me. So to give you guys kind of an idea of will this cut paper, I have some receipt paper on there. Oh, it actually will cut paper, and this is generally thin, but you can see it's kind of tearing there. I don't know if you can see that too well, but some cuts, but it's more of a tear. But I'm going to go a little step further and dull that knife before I sharpen it, just to show you guys how I can put on a hair popping, paper cutting edge on a knife. Now this knife is, I believe it's 1095 carbon steel, and it's got a really good heat treat on it. The only thing is that the fit and finish on this knife isn't so great. As you can see, it's kind of, you know, the edge is not as uniform as it should be, and I'm going to go ahead and fix that. And on the back you can see this coating here. Now when I finish this knife, all this black will be gone, and I'm going to make this a full flat ground knife, and I'll probably polish the tang there and everything as well. So without ado, I'm going to show you what I got and I'm going to start sharpening with. So I have this oil stone right here, two-sided. That's the coarse side. We'll start with that, and then we go to the fine side. And this is a combination bench stone, and it's a nicer one. It's by Norton, and I think they did do a really good job. And a lot of people don't like to do the oils because it's messy, but what I'm going to do is reprofile this knife with this, and then I'm going to move on to this Spyderco Sharp Maker, which is actually a really cool way of sharpening that gives you a consistent angle, and you can really polish the edge of that knife. Right now I don't have the ultrafine stones, but eventually I'm going to pick those up and I'll be able to put an even better edge on there. But that's what we're going to get started. So I'm going to, you know, get set up here, and I'll show you guys the combination bench stone of how I'm actually gonna put the edge back on this knife the way I want it. Okay, I'm all set up here. Now I got a cloth under here that's going to help keep my stone secure while I'm moving the knife across it. Also, I got some rem oil over here, which I will use to oil this stone. I like to use rem oil. It's just a great all-purpose oil. I use it for my guns, whatever. So let's get started. First, I'm going to dull this knife. I know some of you guys are going to cringe when I do this, but I'm just going to rub the very tip on this just to dull this knife, and you'll be able to see that this will not cut paper. It won't cut anything. Okay, dulled that up. Totally ruined the edge on that knife. You know, it's not gonna do anything. I can press hard with my thumb on there and it's not gonna do anything. So let's get started. First thing I'm gonna do is open up this rem oil, and then I'm going to liberally put some of this oil on the stone, and I'm going to use my fingers to kind of coat that. I don't like a lot of oil, just a little bit, just, you know, just to help lubricate that. And I'm going to start up here. I'm going to find my angle, and this is about a 40-degree angle. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to start on one side, and I'm going to swipe it 5 times. So to find your angle, you can look at it. I'm going to zoom in a little bit here. Alright, and you can look at it, and you can curve your knife just about where you feel it stop, and that is gonna tell me where that edge is. Now, it takes a little bit of practice to do this, but I'm going to do the 5 swipes on this side. I'm going to zoom out so you can see the total process there. So I'm going to do 5 swipes, and as I get to the belly, I'm lifting up a little bit, because if I went straight across, right, this, where it curves up, is going to be off that stone. But if you lift it up, even you're keeping the same angle, but you're also getting that stone. So right as you get to the belly, you're going to lift up with your hands there, and you're going to get that belly evenly, and you can kind of see some of the metal I'm taking off there. And I'm going to go to the other side. I'm feeling for that edge there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And since I did another 5 on that, I'm going to keep going and do another 5. You want to remove the metal evenly while you're sharpening your knives. And this is a little bit difficult doing this behind a camera, but you know, I can feel what I'm doing because I'm pretty experienced doing this. Alright, so that's 10 swipes on each side. I'm going to wipe the edge off of that, and I'm going to feel. And there is a burr on the one side which tells me we're getting to the edge, and that's alright. You know, the burr is really strong up there. So I'm going to work on this for a minute here. So I'm going to keep going. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and another 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Alright. Now I'm going to work on this a little bit longer. I'm probably going to do that like 4 or 5 more times. And then I'm going to switch to the other side and start the video again, and I'll show you how I do it on the smoother angle. Okay, I'm back. Worked on that for a good, 5 or 6 minutes. I feel like I got my edge returned back to from where it was. I'm going to zoom in a little bit here. Maybe you can see. Alright, now that is what we call a toothy edge. Now the edge on this knife, if you looked at it really close under a microscope, it would look like a serrated knife. And that is a fine working edge for normal use. A lot of people like that because it's a little sturdier edge, and I am feeling a little bit of a burr on there. That means the edge is rolled, which is good, because that tells me that I got to the actual edge of this, which is what we want to do. So now on a steel, I'm going to find that same angle and run it a few times underneath and over. You know, you want to be very careful keeping that same angle, because that's the key to sharpness. And I can feel that, and actually this will cut paper, but it's still kind of tearing a little bit because it's not as sharp as it could be. So we're going to go to the next step. I'm going to flip this over, and this is a semi-fine stone. I'm not really sure what the grit is on this, but you know, it's gonna get it closer to where I want it to be. And actually, after I'm done on here, it's gonna be, you know, pretty much as sharp as any normal person would want it. But I'm kind of a freak, and I like my knives to shave hair, and so I'm going to add a little bit more of this this rem oil, and as you can see, I got plenty of buildup of steel on this stone. And when I'm done with this, I'm going to wash it and get most of that off there. But we're going to do the same thing, only a little bit lighter pressure, and I'm going to take my time, holding that angle perfectly still 5 times. You know, any variation of movement that you get, like this and this, while you're doing this is going to ruin your edge. So you want to keep that consistent, because that is the key to a sharp edge. I'm going to lift up a little bit towards that belly, and that's really going to get you a good edge. I think I did 8 passes on that last one. Okay, I'm going to wipe that off, feel where I'm at. Already you can kind of see the edge on that getting shinier and shinier. Still a toothy edge, but man, that's starting to get there. So I'm going to work on this for a little bit longer here. I'll show you a few more passes, and then I'm going to turn the camera off, and then I'll show you the next step in this. Alright, now we're to the Spyderco Sharp Maker. This is a cool little tool. What it does is it keeps a consistent angle. And that one there is 40 degree. It also orders a 30 degree, which will give you a sharper angle and actually a sharper knife, but the edge won't last as long. So you know, it depends on your knife what you want to do, but you can also get a better angle. It'll keep a consistent angle because you're keeping your knife straight up and down when you use this. This is a cool system. It comes with 4 rods. These are the medium stones. They don't require any water or oil or anything like that. And then these ones here are the fine stones. They also make an ultra fine stone that will give you a super polished edge, and I'm in the process of getting some of those. So when I do get those, I'll do a little video showing you what type of edge I can get with that. So starting out again, there's our knife, you know, looking pretty good. The edge is getting a little more polished every time. Still a toothy edge, but so what we're going to do, it's hard to see from my angle, but you're going to keep your knife straight up and down, and you're going to run this down. Careful when you get to the edge, you don't want to go off too fast, because that'll hit the stone on the edge and blunt that point, which we don't want to do, because we have a pretty decent point on this one, and you know, pretty strong point for a drop point blade. So I'm just going to go to the other side, and I'm going to do this. Now the manual says to do it 20 times, but on each side. So you know, if you're keeping count, I would say do it until you see the edge and results that you want. So if it takes a little longer, it takes a little longer. You know, be careful. Okay, so my battery died. I'm back. What I was doing when the battery died and I didn't notice was I was running the knife straight up and down this 40 degree angle, and I did it approximately about 40 times, maybe a little more, but I got the edge about to where I need it, and I'm doing it a few more times now just to, because I felt a little burr. And then again, I'm going to take this, and this will be the last time I use this, and knock off any burr that I see. And you can also feel it on that stone there. But let me just adjust this, and now what we're going to do is we're doing it on the corner of this triangle. is what we're doing. Now we're going to move it to the flats. And what that does is gives you a little finer surface. Same grit stone, but it does a little bit more work. And it's a little bit trickier to do on this because you need to keep it straight up and down, and you also need to pull it forward a little bit. So you got the knife now. When you get down towards the end, you're going to pull the knife towards you a little bit where that belly is. Same concept as that we're doing on the stone. So I'm going to show you a few passes here, then I'm going to finish it up, and then we'll go to the fine stones. And finally, I'm going to show you guys how I strop this. And I got a nice leather strap, and then I'm going to show you how to do it if you don't have a leather strap. So, alright guys, I'll be back. Okay guys, here we are with the fine stones. 40-degree angle still. Just a quick mention, these brass rods are here to protect your hands, so in case you know, you come down with a knife, it protects you. It's good to use. Okay, so showing you, see if I can't get a better angle on that. Okay, so keep your knife straight up and down. You're running it like that, doing a few swipes, and then we switch over to the flat stones and do the same thing. It's just that simple, and this is the last stage. And if I had the ultra fine stones, I would use them next and do actually a very good polish on those. But this, you know, if you can see, as I come down on this side, you could probably see it. As I'm coming down straight, right? As soon as I get to that, see how that belly doesn't? So if you turn that in a little bit, you can get your belly at the same angle. And be careful not to run the tip of your knife off like that, because that will dull that tip actually. So we'll do this a few times. Alright, I'm going to go work on that, and then I'm going to show you guys the strop, which is the funnest part for me, because I think that's where you get your knives really sharp. And actually, as you're using them, you know, you can keep your edge sharp for a long time without touching them up. Let's just take a look at that edge. And it's going to get better because I didn't do a whole lot of the fine yet. I'm going to work on that quite a bit, and then I'll show you the difference of the edge when we come back. Alright guys, thanks. Okay guys, now I'm going to show you how to strop your knives. If you can see, I'm not sure if it zooms in, but if you can see that edge on there, came really polished, and even without the ultra fine stones I think it came out really nice, and it is super sharp, but we're going to kind of take it to the next level. So this is a leather strop I have impregnated with yellow stropping compound, which gives you a little bit better grinding. First though, I have a little bit of that compound up here on this canvas. We're going to go on the canvas first, and I bought this strap from Blade HQ for about, I don't know, I think it was like 15 bucks, 17 bucks, something like that. And it's pretty good. I like it. I got this little hook up here, and when you're stropping, you're going to go the opposite angle of when you sharpen. So when I was sharpening, I was cutting like this, but if I do that on the strop, it's going to cut into the canvas or leather, and it's not going to, it's going to do that actually. So that was me with a little bit of mistake. I got a little nick on there. It's not a big deal though, so there's plenty of strap to use. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go the opposite way and finding the angle, and it's okay because this strap has a little bit of give, and what that's going to do is going to convex your edge just a little bit. I mean, it's not going to make it a super convex edge, but you're going to draw it back, and then you're going to flip it over, and then find that angle and draw it towards you. So you're going the opposite way that you would on a stone. For me anyways. I like to go one way only on my stones, but there's some guys who will go both ways and just do little circles. You can't do that on a strop though, so stropping is just one way, and it's the opposite way of how I showed you how to do that on the stone. So right there, you know, I got your little canvas strop, and this is a little coarser. So now I'm going to go to this fine strop. And it's okay to take your time on this. Man, I got this thing moving. It's okay to take your time on this if you're not super fast, but I want to go one way all the way up and one way all the way down. That compound might rub off a little bit, that's alright. Just clean it off, start over again, nice long smooth strokes, and get the whole length of the edge. And what that's going to do is going to polish any toothy edge that you've had left on that knife and make it smooth and keep that super sharp. So basically, at the end of the day, when I'm done using my knives, and I use them all the time, my kitchen knives, my pocket knives, I'm cutting up boxes for work, opening up packages, sometimes they'll get a little gummy. I'll just clean my knives off and I'll strap them at the end of the day. And I find that it keeps that edge sharper, and you'll have to do it less. Sharpen and retouch your knives less. And this will keep your knives very sharp. Alright, I'm going to check that. Oh man, looking nice and polished. So I'm going to try to focus in on that edge so you guys can see that, how polished that is. And then I'm going to set up for some cutting tests and show you where we had that. Can you see the shine on that? Alright. Looks really good. And that is an edge that I'm kind of proud of. You know, it's carbon steel. It's really easy to sharpen. Depending on the steel on your knives, you know, Aus 8 is really easy to sharpen. VG10 is a little harder to sharpen. I mean, it's not anything impossible. The harder and more expensive the steel, usually, the harder it is to sharpen, but the longer it'll hold that edge. Now, this is a good carbon steel. Takes a little bit more care. You know, I'll oil this blade. And like I said, in this project that I'm doing, I'm going to kind of clean all this off and make this a nice polish on there. Finish up the handle. This knife's going to look really good. We'll keep that updated on the channel for you guys. Alright, I'm going to set up some cutting tests. Okay guys, showing you that edge up close. Pretty uniform on both sides and pretty polished and shiny. So we've pretty much gotten rid of that toothy edge. And so I'm going to show you how this thing cuts paper, and then I'm going to show you how, you remember when we started it wasn't cutting paper at all. It's pretty much ruined that. Pretty nice and clean slice right there. Also, you can do these little curly cues, running slow. Very clean. Happy with that. That's difficult to do without a sharp knife. Also, a couple other ways to strop your knives. I wish I had some newspaper here. My wife just threw out all the extra newspaper we had. But you can also strop your knives on some newspaper. You can also do it on this printer paper. Doesn't work as good. You know, you just go ahead and strop it on there. If you don't have a strop, you can do the same thing on this printer paper. Also, you can do the same thing on cardboard. Take the edge of cardboard and you can do the same thing. Alright guys, one last thing, kind of the ultimate test. Cutting paper is fine, but I just want to show you how this will shave hair. So it is the mark of a very sharp knife if it's just popping hair like that, right? So you know, like I said, this is just my way of doing it. I'm by no means a master sharpener. I would love to get some Waterstones. Learn how to do them a little more freehand like that. but I do believe this gets knives pretty sharp, and you know, I've had some pretty good results. That Spyderco Sharp Maker cost me like 60 bucks. The bench stone probably cost me, I don't know, 30 or so. So it's a decent one. You can pick them up cheaper. But you know, all the list of ingredients that I used was pretty simple. And if you want results like these, you can get them. Just follow the steps I showed you, and have patience. Find a cheap knife you want to work on, and then before moving up to more of your more expensive knives. Works with kitchen knives, folding knives, anything, you know. I mean, there's all sorts of grinds. There's hollow grinds, convex grinds, full flat grinds, semi full flat grinds. So I'm going to make this a full flat grind. But you know, just be patient, hone your skills. You know, like I said, the most important thing is making sure, and this is really hard to see, I don't think my camera's going to focus. Maybe I can get it to do it with this, but that angle is even on both sides. You can kind of see it there. Make sure that's even, and sharpness will follow no matter what angle you have in your knife. You know, you can get it sharp like that. So good luck, guys, and ask me for tips in the comments, or if there's something I didn't explain well, ask me questions. Please like this video and subscribe if you want. There will be more videos like this in the future. So as I progress in my sharpening skills and knife making skills and all sorts of things, I'm going to be kind of hanging out and doing. As I progress, you guys will get to be able to see that, and I just having lots of fun here at Practactical. So thanks, guys, and I drive my wife crazy with messes like this all the time. So thanks again for watching, guys. Have a good day.